So we've got another chair-based flow yoga session this morning. If you are joining us for the first time, then all you really need to have with you is a comfortable chair to sit on, and also we're going to be standing and using the chair for support later in the session. So just making sure that whatever floor you're on a non-slip surface. So if, like me, you're in a room with a wooden or a tiled floor, just making sure you've got something underneath you, whether that's a rug or a yoga mat, just to stop the chair from sliding out from underneath you later in the session when we're pressing into it with our body weight. Other than that, we just need some hand weights. If you don't have any dumbbells or anything like that at home, you can just grab a couple of cans from the cupboard, anything you've got to hand. I've got some beans, if you've got tin tomatoes, anything like that, just to give us a little bit of weight and resistance for our strength work this morning. And then just making sure you've got a bottle of water to hand or a glass of water, and helping yourself to drink at any point that you feel you need to through the session. Other than that, it's just you that we need today. So we're going to start just thinking about our posture on the chairs, bringing ourselves into the space and warming our bodies up. So just to begin with, making sure that we're sitting in a really nice posture on the chair. So coming forward, away from the backrest, sitting tall, thinking about stacking the spine all the way up, through the neck and out the top of the head, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears, thinking about drawing the shoulder blades down and together. And just noticing the sensation of pressing down into the chair and pressing down into our feet. So spreading the toes, pressing into the soles of the feet, connecting with the ground, and at the same time lengthening up through the spine. And then from here, we're just going to take a moment to check in with our bodies. Notice if we're feeling any aches or pains this morning, whether we're feeling physically a bit tired, or perhaps you've got some energy left in your body this morning that you want to burn up in this session. And then from there, just taking your attention to your mind and noticing how you're feeling this morning, whether you've got lots of thoughts buzzing around your head, any plans, any problem solving going on in the head today, and how you're feeling emotionally. And we're going to come back to this towards the end of the session and just notice whether we're feeling any different after our little session together. And then from the mind, we're going to take our attention to the breath and just notice the rise and the fall of the chest, and how the breath is flowing in and out. And then from here, we're going to be a little bit more conscious of our breath. We're going to start to lengthen that breath a little bit more. So breathing in a little bit deeper and breathing out a little bit longer. And again, lengthening the in-breath, breathing all the way down to the bottom of the lungs, and lengthening the out-breath, controlling the flow of air out through the mouth. And again, see if you can make it even longer this time. Can you breathe in for 3 and out for 3? Excellent. And then keeping that rhythm, so breathing in for 3 and out for 3. We're just going to take a few more big deep breaths here. You can close your eyes if you want to, and just concentrate on the breath. So breathing in to the bottom of the lungs for 3, 1, 2, 3, and breathing out for 3, 1, 2, 3. And again, big deep breath into the bottom of the lungs. And as you breathe in, think about sitting tall. And then breathing out. And as you breathe out, nice and slow and controlled, let's see if we can breathe out into any of those tight spots in the body. Try and relax. So although we're sitting in quite a upright and active position, keep breathing But also trying to relax through the shoulders, the hips, and the face. Excellent. One more big deep breath in for 3. And out for 3. Well done. And then just allowing your breath to come back into a natural rhythm. We're going to start to get moving, warming our body up from the top all the way down to the toes. So taking the head over to one side, bringing the ear to shoulder, rolling the chin to chest, and back up the other side, stretching into the neck on either side. And keep that moving. Gentle half circles. Taking it easy here. Not straining too hard or forcing the neck into any particular position, just gently starting to move and warm the body up. So we just want to give ourselves a little bit of time to wake the body up before we take any of these stretches too deep. And then bringing the head back to the middle and moving to the shoulders, starting with a forward shoulder circle, up, forwards, down and back, and just relaxing in the arms, allowing them to drop down by your sides. So we're not adding any extra tension in the arms and the shoulders. And then changing direction, this time we're drawing the circles up, back, down and forward. Noticing the opening of the chest as the arms circle back. You might also feel a little bit of clicking and cracking in the shoulders here as we loosen up what can often be quite a tight and tense area. And then relaxing and moving into the side of the body. We're going to take a big stretch up and over, reaching over to one side and then swapping sides and coming in the other direction. Just making sure that we're keeping that underneath arm relaxed, dropping the shoulder away from the ear so we're not hunching the shoulder up and crunching in as we reach over. We're dropping the shoulder away from the ear and keeping the chest and the hips facing forward so that we're focusing the stretch into the side of the body. Using that underneath hand on the chair for support if you need to, or just allowing it to drop down by the side. And keep going, a few more here, just really starting to wake up the side of the body. One more on each side. And then coming back to the middle and bringing the hands to the shoulders, lifting the elbows up to shoulder height. We're just taking a few gentle twists here from side to side. So thinking about rotating around the spine as you twist, taking the head with you, twisting from side to side. And then coming back to the middle and releasing the arms. Okay, and then from here, just starting to warm up into our hips. We're just going to start just with a gentle march. So lifting the legs up off the floor one at a time. You can take hold of the seat of your chair here if you need to. And just lifting the legs up, alternating. You might be able to get your knees a little bit higher than I can here. So if you can, get those knees nice and high. Keep going for a few more seconds. And then we're going to take that movement into the hips a little bit more by taking it in a circle. So this time we're going to go up and round and down, circling in the hips. So taking the knees out to begin with, up and out, circling in the hips, starting to work into that hip joint. Lovely. And then changing direction. So this time we're going out and in. Taking the out first and then up and in. Lovely. 4 more here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then picking one leg up and bringing the foot on top of the thigh, taking the knee out to the side. And just very gently, holding onto the knee, just very gently lifting and dropping the knee up and down, working into that hip joint. And if you want to here, you can also think about bringing the knee in and out, extending away and then bringing it in. So whether you're going up and down or in and out, or a mixture of both, just working into the knee and the hip joint here. Be nice and gentle. And then bringing the foot back onto the top of the thigh and just deepening into this stretch a little bit. So really focusing on letting that knee drop out to the side, letting the hip relax, breathing into the hip here. And then with your next in-breath, we're sitting tall. And breathing out and just folding the body forward slightly over that leg, just to deepen the stretch into the hip a little way. And then coming back up and releasing the leg and swapping sides. So picking up the other leg, bringing it onto the top of the thigh, and just starting again with that up and down motion in the knee. So working into the hip. Starting to mobilize the hip joint. And then if you want to, you can think about extending away and in. Ooh, tricky knees here perhaps. And you work into that knee joint as well. Oh, my knee is really clicking today. Lots of little air bubbles in there. Excellent. So you can alternate between the two, working into the knee and the hip. Okay. And then coming back to that slightly deeper stretch, bringing the foot on top, sitting up tall as you breathe in, relaxing the knee out to the side, and then breathing out and coming forward slightly in the hips over that leg. So trying to keep the back nice and long, thinking about reaching up the top of the head and just tipping forwards as a hinge from the hips rather than curling the back down. So keeping the back straight, just tipping forwards. Okay. And then releasing and bringing the foot back to the floor and grounding those feet to the floor again, spreading the toes, pressing the soles of the feet into the ground. And then from here, we're just going to work into the feet and the ankles, coming up onto our toes and back down again. So rising up and down. And keep that going, working through the feet and the ankles, really pressing into the toes as you come to the top and making sure we're spreading the feet back down onto the floor as you touch back down. Keep that going for a little bit longer. Four more here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then relax. And then just taking one leg at a time, just taking the foot out in front and making some gentle circles with the ankle in one direction. And in the other direction. And then swapping over. So the other ankle taking those circles in one direction. And the other direction. Okay. And then bringing the feet back underneath you. We're just going to do the same with our wrists here. So taking them out in front and just drawing some circles with our wrists in one direction. And then changing direction. Make sure that's off everything. Keep those wrists rotating. Well done. Okay, and then from here, we're going to move into our strength work. So this is where you want to grab hold of those cans or dumbbells if you've got them. And we're going to warm up the arms and the legs a little bit more with a few gentle strength exercises here. So at any point you can pop those weights down, or if you don't want to use them at all, you can do this without weights. That's absolutely fine. So we're going to start with a series of exercises that combine the arms and the legs, or the arms and the body. So just layering some of those things together, just to give our brains a little bit more to think about this week. And then we're going to work on a little pyramid exercise. So that means doing one exercise, and then two, and then three, and then four. So it's building up like a pyramid. I'll explain that a bit more as we get to it. So we're just going to start with some arm and leg or torso exercises. So starting with our side raise for the arms. So that's taking the arms to the side, drawing the shoulders up and down. We're just going to lift the arms to the side at shoulder height and back down. At the same time, we're going to march our feet. So we're working with the arms and the legs, and we're also going to be engaging that core as well. So as we're lifting the legs off the floor to march, we're going to be thinking about just starting to engage those core muscles, drawing the belly button in towards the spine, keeping the body nice and tall. So let's just have a little practice, and then we'll do it for 20 seconds. So here we go. We're going to be raising the arms up, and at the same time, we're going to be marching the legs. This is what it will look like: arm raises and leg marches. Excellent. And then the next one we're going to do is a bicep curl. And at the same time, we're going to raise the legs. So the legs are going to uncurl at the same time that the arms are curling. The arms curl up, one leg reaches up and down. And then the next time, the other leg. So we're alternating the legs, but we're doing the arms at the same time. So that's our bicep curl and leg raise. Excellent. And then the next one is a shoulder press with an oblique twist. So the obliques are the side part of our torso here, where we've got muscles that connect with the core, running down the side of our tummies. So the shoulder press is bringing the hands up to the shoulders, pressing them overhead, and then as you bring them down, we're going to take them over to one side and twist over to the side before bringing them back up. Pressing up, and then this time twisting to the other side as you bring them down. So we're alternating sides, and we're creating a little twist in the torso to work into those oblique muscles that run along the sides. Okay, so that's our shoulder press and oblique twists. And then the last one is a back row with a tricep curl. So we're going to take our weight forward slightly here, tipping forwards in the hips, dropping the arms by the side, and we're going to imagine that we're picking up from the side of us and lifting up to sort of chest height. And then from here, we're kicking the arms back behind and curling them back in again. So I'll just turn to the side so you can see that a bit more clearly. So we're tipping forwards in the hips, and then we're squeezing the arms up, bringing the elbows tucked in behind, and then lengthening out behind us for the tricep curl. Okay, so that's all of our exercises. We're going to do them back to back now, 20 seconds each with a 10-second rest in between. And then we're going to have a go at our little pyramid. So this is going to be a bit of a workout for the brain as well as for the body. So let's start with our side raises and marches. So here we go. 20 seconds. Marching the legs and lifting the arms. Excellent, keep going. Lovely. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. A quick little rest. And the next one is going to be our bicep curls with our leg curls. Ready? Here we go. So curling and extending, alternating the legs. Lovely. Keep going. Thinking about engaging that torso, bringing the belly button in towards the spine, slightly feeling that tension in the tummy as we extend those legs away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, the next one is our shoulder press with our twist. We're going up and then twisting across, and then up and twisting across the other side. So here we go, the rest of the body nice and still. Pressing up, twisting over. Twisting up, twisting to the other side. Keep that going. And again, thinking about drawing that belly button towards the spine and engaging that core as you twist round to the side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and finish there. One more to go. So this is our row and our tricep curl. Okay, so just shifting that weight forward slightly, putting your hands by the side. Here we go, so squeezing up and then extending back and down. And again. Lovely, really thinking about squeezing those shoulder blades together behind you as you pull up. Keeping those elbows nice and still as you extend out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Very good. Okay, one more thing to do before we stand and start to work on our sequence. This is our little pyramid exercise. So we're going to use this same idea with our yoga sequence this week. The idea of building, so we're starting with one block and then we're going from 1 to 2 and then back to the beginning and doing 1, 2, and 3, back to the beginning again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's the idea that we're building each time, going back to the beginning and really helping embed that sequence in our brains. So we're going to start our little arm pyramid sequence with our side raise, bringing it down again, and then we're going to add the bicep curl. So we're going to side raise and bicep curl, and then back to the beginning again. Side raise, bicep curl, and then this time we're adding the shoulder press. And coming back down, starting again. Shoulder raise, bicep curl, shoulder press, and then from here, we're going to keep the arms high and dip the arms back into our tricep curl, and then come back down again, starting again. Lifting the arms, bicep curl, shoulder press, tricep dip, and then oblique twist and oblique twist. And that's it. Let's have a go at that one more time, building it up with each exercise as we move along. So starting with our side raise, this is number 1. And then number 1 and number 2. Number 1, number 2 is the bicep curl. And number 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, number 2, number 3 is the shoulder press. And starting again, adding on number 4. Number 1, number 2, number 3 tricep dip, number 4. Back to the beginning. Last one, 1, 2, 3, and then the tricep dip number 4, and then coming down to the oblique twist, number 5. Excellent. Okay, popping those weights back down. Just giving the arms a little shake. And taking a gentle stretch into the shoulders, bringing one arm across the body. And swapping sides, coming to the other arm across the body. And then relaxing. Okay, from here we're going to come up to standing and turn our chairs if you need to be able to see. I'm going to turn my chair just so that you can see the sequence nice and clearly. So we're going to come back up to standing now. With our chairs, the seat of our chairs facing us, or you facing the seat of your chair if you can't move it. And we're going to come into a little standing sequence. I'm just going to tip the camera up a little bit so you can see more of me. We're going to start in mountain pose, and like our arm exercises, we're going to build our sequence one exercise at a time. So we're going to start in mountain pose. Feet hip distance apart, standing tall, shoulders rolling up, back and down. And we're going to take a big deep breath in and reach the arms all the way up overhead. And then breathing out, we're folding forwards, coming down onto the chair. And even you can take your fold here, or you can come lower down if you want to, onto the arms, or reaching the fingertips towards the floor. And then with the next in-breath, we're pressing up through the hands, coming to a nice flat back half fold here. Breathing out, fold and back down. And then breathing in and sweeping all the way up to standing. Breathing out and bringing the hands down the middle. So that's one. We're going to add on to one with two, and number two is warrior one. So we're going to take that salutation again, reaching up and down. Breathing in and coming up to a half fold. Breathing out, coming down to a full fold. Breathing in and sweeping up to standing. Breathing out, bringing the hands down the middle. And then placing the hands back on the chair, we're going to step the feet one forwards and one backwards to prepare for warrior one. So the front toes facing forwards, the back toes at 45 degrees. And you can stay here using the support of the chair, or you can press through the legs, sweep the arms up, and come through to warrior one. Hips facing the chair, and deepening into that front knee if you can. Then we're going to take the same pose on the other side, so bringing the hand back to the chair and swapping the legs over. Again, staying here or pressing through the legs, bringing the torso up and sweeping the arms up. Excellent. So that's part one and part two. We're going to go back to the beginning and add on part three. So here we go. Breathing in and sweeping up. Breathing out and folding down. Breathing in and coming up to a half fold. Breathing out, returning to full fold. Breathing in and sweeping up to standing. Breathing out and bringing the hands down the middle. Breathing in as we prepare for warrior one on the first side. And then sinking a little bit deeper. And now we're going to add on our third part. So from here, we're going to open to warrior two. So taking the chest open to the side, just opening those back toes so they're now parallel with the back of the mat. Sinking into the knee in warrior two. And doing both of those again on the other side. So coming to the chair first, swapping the feet over, stepping into warrior one first. And then opening to warrior two. Excellent. And then coming back to the chair. And rolling up to standing to start again from the beginning. And this time we're going to add on triangle pose. So going back to the beginning, coming into our salutation, breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out and folding down. Breathing in and coming up to a half fold. Breathing out and returning to a full fold. Breathing in as you uncurl to standing. Breathing out and bringing the hands down the middle. Preparing for warrior one. Sweeping the arms up if you can, sinking down into that front knee. Then opening to warrior two. Again, sinking a little bit lower if you can. And then from here, we're going to move into triangle pose. So first of all, we're straightening that front leg, and then we're pressing the back hip back before reaching forwards and over with the front hand. Bringing the back arm high, coming into triangle pose here. Or if you want to, you can bring the hand down the leg towards the floor, wherever works for you. Keeping that chest open to the side. Excellent. Sweeping that top arm through, switching the legs, preparing for warrior one on the other side. Breathing in and reaching up, breathing out and sinking down. And then opening to warrior two. So turning to face the other side, allowing that back foot to turn out parallel with the back of the mat. And then from here, we're moving into triangle pose. So straightening that front leg, pressing the back hip back before reaching forwards and over with the front hand and lifting the back arm high. And breathing here. And then from here, sweeping that back arm through, coming back to the chair, stepping the feet together, rolling through the spine, coming back to standing, breathing out and bringing the hands down the middle. And we're going to start again from the beginning, all the way up to there, and add on one more part at the end. So big deep breath in, reaching up, breathing out and sinking down. Breathing in and coming up to a half fold. Breathing out and sinking back down. Breathing in as you sweep up to standing. Breathing out and bringing the hands down the middle. Preparing for warrior one. Breathing in and reaching up. Breathing out and sinking down. Holding here for another round of breath. We're opening that back foot. Opening the hips to the side and the arms and coming through to warrior two. And then from here, we're moving into our triangle pose. Straightening that front leg, pressing the back hip back, or reaching forwards and over with the front arm, bringing that back arm high, breathing here. And then from here, we're sweeping that hand down and coming back to the chair. This time, we're adding on one more pose. We're going to step the front leg back and come to downward facing dog, so pressing the hips back. Breathing here. Thinking about drawing the chest towards the thighs. Reaching the long through the spine and into the arms, spreading the fingers into the seat of the chair. And then stepping the other foot forwards to do all of that on the other side. So preparing to warrior one on the other side. Breathing in and sweeping up. Breathing out and sinking down. Another round of breath here. Before opening to warrior two. Sinking down in those knees if you can. And then preparing to come into triangle pose, so straightening that leg, pressing the hip back, reaching forwards and over, and lifting that back arm high. And then sweeping the back arm down and through to the chair, and then just adjusting the feet so you can step that front leg back, coming into downward facing dog one more time. And stretching here. Pressing the chest towards the thighs, curling up through the legs, lengthening through the spine, down into the arms and pressing the palms of the hands into the chair. And then stepping the feet forwards, softening the knees, rolling all the way up to standing. And bringing the hands down the middle. Okay, well done. So that's how we've managed to build that sequence up. Just adding one pose at a time, going back to the beginning, and hopefully now it's feeling like you're really confident with it in your head. We've actually repeated it 5 times without really realizing it. So what we're going to do now is run through that sequence one more time, all the way from the beginning. And this time, we're just going to focus on the flow. So we're going to keep it moving, using that breath to push us through the sequence, all the way from the beginning to the end, all 5 elements. Here we go. Big deep breath in, reaching up. Breathing out and sinking down. Breathing in, coming up to a half fold. Breathing out, sinking down to a full fold. Breathing in, sweeping all the way up to standing. Breathing out and bringing the hands down the middle. Preparing for warrior 1 on the first side. Breathing in and reaching up. Keeping it moving, opening to warrior 2 with the next in-breath. Breathing out and sinking down. Breathing in as you straighten the legs and prepare for triangle pose as you breathe out. Moving through to the chair to step back into downward facing dog. Breathing out and stretching here. Before stepping the other leg forwards. Preparing for warrior 1 on the other side. Breathing in and reaching up. Breathing out and sinking down. Breathing in as you open to warrior 2. Breathing out and sinking down. Breathing in as you prepare for triangle pose. Breathing out and folding over. Breathing in as you come through to the chair. Preparing for downward facing dog. Breathing out here. Breathing in as you step forwards. Sweeping the arms up overhead. And breathing out. Bringing the hands down the middle. Excellent, well done. Okay, we've got a few little stretches that I'd like to do now, just to work into some of those areas that we've been working hard in that sequence. So giving our minds a little bit of a break now, just taking one stretch at a time. We're going to start with pigeon pose. Now we have done this before with the chair, but if you've not been here for that session, I will just talk through the different options. So this is a really lovely deep stretch for the hips, which is going to work out some of that tension from triangle pose particularly. So we can do this on the chair, coming down onto the chair with your hands, and then just making sure that you have enough distance between you and the chair to pick one leg up, bring the knee in towards the chest, and then place the knee on the chair, sliding the lower part of the leg forwards, and then stepping the back leg away from you, allowing it to lengthen and stretch away while the underneath leg tucks up. And we're keeping the hips and the chest level with the chair. Okay. So you should hopefully be able to bring your body down a little bit lower. So you can come down onto the elbows if you want to. You can use the back of the chair to relax the head onto, trying to release some of that tension in the neck and the shoulders. And we're just stretching into the glutes here. So the leg that's curled up underneath, this side should be feeling a nice stretch in the bottom. And then the other side, we should be feeling a nice stretch through the hip. Just holding it here for a few rounds of breath, really thinking about that lovely deep breath in and out that we started with at the beginning of the session. See if you can keep that going here. So breathing in for 3 and out for 3. And then using the strength in your arms to press back into the chair, releasing that front leg, bringing it back down to the floor. Just taking a moment here to loosen the legs off before coming onto the other side. So curling the knee in, bringing the other leg onto the chair, And then stepping that back foot away from you in order to lengthen through the back leg, stretching into the hip on this side now. Sorry, the bottom on this side now, and the hip on the side of the leg that's lengthened. And again, you can bring the hands to the back of the chair to rest the head up here, relaxing through the neck and the shoulders. You can bring the elbows down onto the chair if you have space to do so. If this is too much for you, if this is a bit too intense in the hip and bottom, then you can take this stretch seated on the chair, bringing the foot up like we did at the beginning of the session and folding forwards over the hip. So mostly we're just stretching into the glutes. We're not getting the same stretch into the hip here, but we're going to do another hip stretch that you can use instead. So you might want to just take this pose here instead, and alternating the legs after a few rounds of breath. Okay, so wherever you are, releasing that leg now, whether it's from the chair or from your lap, and then gently rolling up to standing. And then from here, we're going to find a bit of wall, just to take a gentle chest stretch, chest and shoulder stretch. So if you've got a bit of empty wall near you, you want to just stand up next to the wall. From here, we're going to place one hand on the wall next to us and slide it back behind, extending the arm behind you, and then coming in a little bit closer to the wall to bring the shoulder and the chest towards the wall. And we're really trying here to keep the chest and the hips running along the wall rather than turning to face the wall. Opening through the chest and the hip and the shoulder. Now, if you find this is quite intense, you might want to step away from the wall a little bit, just to give that shoulder a bit more space. If you want more of a stretch, then stepping in towards the wall a bit further. And just breathing here, keeping that hand on the wall at shoulder height. Excellent. And then swapping sides, so turning along the wall in the other direction, placing the hand on the wall next to you, and then sliding it behind, extending that arm behind you, and again, stepping into the wall to deepen that stretch a little bit, or stepping away from the wall if you need a bit more space for that shoulder. It's up to you here. Breathing into the stretch, big deep breaths in and out. And then gently releasing. And this time we're going to come to face the wall. And we're going to place our hands on the wall at shoulder height. And just take a stretch in the opposite direction by running one hand with the back of the hand against the wall underneath the other arm. And bringing the shoulder to the wall to stretch across the back. So stretching between the shoulders across the top of the back here. Keeping that arm that's lying across the body on the wall at shoulder height. And you can bring the side of your head to the wall here as well if you want to. And then swapping sides. So taking the other hand, turning the back of the hand against the wall, running it underneath the other arm, bringing the shoulder to the wall, the side of the head to the wall, and stretching into that shoulder and across the top of the back. Okay. And then pressing away from the wall and just giving the shoulders a little circle. in one direction and in the other direction. Excellent. And then we're just going to come back onto our chairs. Just take a little seat and work through our spines, coming into a seated cat and cow. So bringing our bottoms forwards on the chair again, just thinking about our posture before we start. Feet planted on the floor, ankles underneath knees, knees in line with hips, sitting nice and tall, stacking the spine, shoulders up, back and down. And then we're going to take the arms out to the side and bring them forward as if we're hugging a tree, tucking the belly button in, bringing the chin to the chest, coming into our seated cat pose. And then opening the arms out, opening the chest, coming into seated cow. Looking up slightly and back in the other direction. We can add the breathing in here, so we're breathing out as we come through to cat pose. Breathing in as we open the cow. And again, out. And in. And while we're doing this, let's really think about that breath one more time. So having raised the heart rate with our sequence, we're now focusing on bringing that heart rate back down. Taking some lovely big deep breaths. Hopefully we've been doing that already with our stretches. And this is just adding to that sense of calm. Bringing the body back to a more rested state. One more time for each. So last cat and last cow, and then releasing the arms and rolling the shoulders a few times. Excellent. So now we're going to slide our bottoms back on the chair a little bit further. And we can start to relax into the chair a little bit now. So allowing the back to rest onto the backrest, but we're not slouching here. So let's try not to collapse and slouch forwards, keeping that spine in alignment, still sitting tall, still drawing those shoulders up, back and down, and the shoulder blades down and together. And we're just going to take a few moments here to work on our breath. So sitting nice and tall through the spine allows us to create as much space as possible for the lungs to expand, which means that we can take some really big, deep breaths. And that's a really helpful thing to remember. So if ever you are needing to take those deep breaths, whether it's, you've climbed a load of stairs and you're feeling a bit out of breath and you need to take some lovely big deep breaths, sometimes it's tempting for us to crunch over. If you stand tall, you're going to allow that space in the lungs. Or if you're ever having those feelings of anxiety, if you're feeling a bit stressed, and that kind of chest feels like it's tightening up and closing up, that standing tall, lengthening through the spine, creating space for the lungs is a really helpful thing to be able to do to make the most of those big deep breaths. So from here, we're going to come back to that deep breath pattern that we looked at the beginning of the session, building up to breathing in for 3 and out for 3. So just starting, focusing on your breath as it is right now. So just take a moment to close your eyes if you want to here. Just focus on your breath and just notice the rise and the fall of your chest and the breath flowing in and out. The sensation of the air passing in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just notice the pattern of your own breath, whether it seems a little faster than normal perhaps. Maybe it's already starting to slow down. Just notice how that breath is falling in your body today. And then with the next few breaths, we're going to try to really slow that down. So we're breathing in through the nose, sitting nice and tall, big deep breath in, and then breathing out through the mouth, a long, slow and controlled out breath. And then going again and seeing if you can lengthen the breath a little bit more as you breathe in to the bottom of the lungs and out. And then this time, let's see if we can hit that 3 counts in, 3 counts out mark. So as you're breathing in, then you can breathe in for 3 seconds, and then breathing out 3 seconds. See if we can keep it there for a few more rounds of breath. Breathing in, 2, 3, breathing out, 2, 3. And as you're taking those big deep breaths, just start to notice if that has any effect on your mind or your body. Do those big deep breaths help you feel a little bit calmer? Do they help to bring some stillness to the body? It might be that you find it a little more stressful than that thinking about your breath is quite a conscious and tricky thing to do. That's absolutely fine, whatever you're feeling about it, it's just good to notice. And then as those deep breaths hopefully start to help our mind settle, we're going to begin to relax and release any last bits in the body. So starting at the feet, we're going to curl the toes in towards the soles of the feet. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, and then as you breathe out for 3, relax and release the toes. And then moving to the legs, I want you to think about squeezing the muscles of the legs tight to their bones. We'll do the same again here, counting in for 3. And then breathing out and relaxing for 3. And then moving to the hands and curling the fingers in towards the soles of the hands, the palms of the hands. Squeezing the hands into fists as you breathe in 3. And then relaxing and letting go as you breathe out 3. And then doing the same again for our face. Punching your nose up, pressing your lips together, squeezing your eyes shut. And then breathing in for 3 as you hold it there. And breathing out for 3 as you relax and release. So hopefully now the body is really starting to feel heavy and relaxed. Pressing into the chair and the floor, allowing your body to feel heavy and relaxed. And then from here, now that our bodies are feeling relaxed and heavy, let's see if we can do the same for our minds. So taking your attention to your mind and just noticing if it's feeling any different from the beginning of the session. We're just going to use our breath just to imagine that mind opening up and sinking down into the ground around us. So as you breathe, imagine the breathing in all of that lovely fresh air. As you breathe out, you're breathing out any negativity, any tension, any conflict. Keep that going, flowing in and out with the breath. And then we're just going to take a moment here to be as still and as calm as we can. And if you find that your mind is still distracting you, thoughts and feelings popping into your head, I just want you to take a moment to blow those thoughts away. So as you breathe, imagine you're breathing out all of those thoughts or feelings, and it's floating inside a little balloon up towards the ceiling and settling up there, giving you a bit of space, a bit of distance. You can do that as many times as you need to. And with that in mind, let's just take a moment of stillness here. And then from here, we're going to start to wake our bodies back up again, giving our toes a little wiggle, and our fingers a little wiggle. And then taking the hands up to the face, just patting the fingertips across the forehead, down the cheeks, along the chin, up the sides of the nose, like little raindrops falling on the face. Starting to wake your senses up again. And then stretching the legs away from you, stretching the arms up overhead. Getting a nice big yawn here if you need to. And then coming back up to sitting in your chair. Just taking those shoulder rolls one more time, going up, back and down. And then taking a big deep stretch, reaching the arms all the way up overhead. Shoulders away from the ears. And then breathing out. And bringing the hands down the middle. Okay, excellent. Thank you for joining me again today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the session. And we'll see you again here next week.